The history of Southside Baptist Church began in 1908, just 7 years after the Great Fire of 1901 that nearly destroyed the city of Jacksonville.
With approximately 1,000 people living in the separate township across the river known as South Jacksonville, the mission-minded First Baptist Church organized a small group of people to meet at the Van Loon residence located on Flagler Avenue to talk about starting a new church. Those first 25 people quickly turned into more than the house could hold, and soon the meeting spread outdoors under the trees. That's when F.M. Scruggs donated this land at the corner of Louisa and Kip Avenue as a church plant location.
First Baptist Church of South Jacksonville was established and quickly outgrew their meeting space. To solve this problem, one group began meeting in the San Marco Theater and in turn became known as the San Marco Boulevard Baptist Church, while the other group continued to meet at the location on Kip Avenue. January 2nd, 1939, the two churches merged and Southside Baptist Church was established with 683 members. Dr. Herschel Ford served as first pastor beginning in July 1939. Under his leadership, our location at the corner of Hendricks and Atlantic was purchased, and the first building dedication took place on Easter Sunday, 1940.
I remember Dr. Ford. I was 11 when I joined the church, and I was baptized by him. And I agree with what Betty said. He filled the church.
Mm-hmm. He was more like an evangelist.
Evangelistic.
Mm-hmm. He could really preach.
Some of the congregation sat out in the side yard when the church was filled. And at that time, I suppose they had some sort of speaker system or the windows were open, because I remember the side yard would have a lot of people sitting out there that couldn't get in the building.
Our church home was at a new location with increased facilities as the south side of Jacksonville experienced phenomenal growth from 1,000 to 60,000 residents. Church membership grew from the original 683 to 1,915. While World War II kept most Americans standing still, Southside Baptist Church continued to grow. Reverend A.M. Harrington, who had served as a chaplain during World War II, came to Southside in 1945. Pastor Harrington served until 1949. It was during this time that plans for a new sanctuary were completed and construction began. The building plans that were started before the war had to be revised and enlarged to accommodate our growing mission of leading people to become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ.
There was a big empty space where we're sitting now. The building on the corner on Hendricks Avenue was the only building that was here when I came. And the rest of it was a beautiful lawn and some big trees.
There was an A&P store right across the street. Yeah, I remember that.
There was a service station there,
Yes,
golf
that's
service
right.
station.
Where the bank is.
Right.
September 1950, a full-page ad in the Florida Times-Union invited everyone to the new sanctuary at Southside Baptist Church. Dr. Malcolm Knight delivered the first message in what is now our current sanctuary.
That is where my fellowship with God actually started, and I also think of the fact that as growing up in this church as a child and then as a teenager, the wonderful memories of Vacation Bible School, and then of course Dr. Knight, who was our pastor at the time, came in and led us in fellowship and worship.
In 1953, Dr. Knight led construction of another building, linking the new sanctuary with the original structure built in 1939. By 1957, a three-story education building was added. Dr. Knight continued to serve and lead Southside Baptist Church until his retirement in 1977.
To keep the main mission of the church in the foreground. That mission is not primarily entertainment. That mission is not primarily recreation. But that mission primarily is to uphold Jesus Christ as the Savior, as the Lord, as the one who has promised to abide with us. Let the church keep its main mission ever preeminent before all.
The spiritual force and growth of Southside Baptist Church continued to be felt in San Marcos community during Reverend Cornelius Davis's leadership from January 1978 to 1984. Beginning in the 1970s and lasting for more than a quarter century, the singing Christmas tree became a Jacksonville tradition, attracting thousands of worshipers each year. Southside's last major capital campaign came under the leadership of Mark Wilbanks, who served as pastor from 1985 to 2002.
This church has stood since 1939 for all the right things.
And the generations who built the church at that time passed on to us a heritage that we need to continue to rebuild and to maintain this corner of Southside Baptist Church here in Jacksonville for the generations that are yet to come.
I think for them to be able to say, this was my mom's church and she loved this church and we grew up here, and like Gary grew up here and now he can come home. This is his home, and I would love for my children to call this home.
And I hope with doing this that it will set an example for my children and for the next generation, that stepping up to lead your church and to be a part of your church, to make it a stronger, more viable entity for the community around you is something that you should do. It's biblical. It's something that generations help to rebuild things over generations, and just to be a part of that and to make it their commitment to serve the Lord in this manner.
You're going to come together and talk about your vision, your dreams, your hopes. You're going to pray together, and you're going to see that God has great things in store for His church. This is His church, you know that. It's in good hands. The Southside Baptist Church has much to be proud of and much to seek after.
With steady growth and a continued effort to lead people to become fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ, our existing facilities were renovated and the entire facility nearly doubled, adding on such areas as the McGuire Fellowship Center, Trotter Activity Center, and Prayer Chapel. Now, it's time to rebuild and renew our church home as we continue to seek to make Christ known in San Marco and around the world.
I am here because you erected me. You built me because you knew your life and the lives of others would be incomplete without me. However, I am not here to be adorned, but to serve. Your children and youth come to me to be taught the ways of honesty, integrity, morality, and faithfulness. Your brides and grooms come to my altar for divine blessings upon their wedlock. I serve when I comfort your sick, sorrow when I bury your dead, and as I offer solace and rest to your weary. Never ending, I extend His pardon and peace to the sin-burdened soul with the message of mercy in new life. To the aged, I give courage and quiet that causes their children to call them blessed. My doors open wide to all. The message from my pulpit rings out with the truth, the light, and the way of our Savior's love. Help strengthen me today, so I never stop serving until the day He comes back to take us all home to our Father's house.